This is Chapter 6, Summary Notes on Ionic and Molecular Compounds, Part 1, Nomenclature. There'll be a series of five short videos that'll take you through ionic compounds and molecular compounds. All right, but first we need to talk about ions. All right, ions are formed from either metals or non-metals, and either by gaining or losing electrons. All right, on your screen you should see an image of a magnesium atom. All right, and that magnesium atom has two electrons in its outermost level. All right, and when they are lost because they are in the process of combining with another element, their ion form becomes a noble gas configuration. And we can see that by looking at the electron configuration for both versions. All right, the magnesium atom is underneath a larger image, and it ends in a 3s2. All right, because magnesium is in column 2A of the periodic table. When it loses those two electrons, it now has two more positive charges in the nucleus than it does electrons outside the nucleus. All right, so the ion actually becomes smaller. All right, because there's less electrons to take up the volume. All right, and it also becomes a noble gas configuration, which makes that ion stable. All right, that is a cation. All right, metals form cations. Remember, cations, metals are underneath the staircase and to the left on the periodic table. All right, anions are nonmetal ions. They form ions by adding electrons to their outermost level. And again, here's chlorine's electron configuration. It ends in an S2p5. An electron is obtained from another atom when it's forming its ion, and when it adds to the outermost energy level for the chloride ion, it again has a noble gas configuration. All right, both of these electron configurations obey what's called the octet rule, meaning it has an S2p6 arrangement in their outermost energy level. Okay, so anions are from nonmetals. They get larger when they form their ions. Cations get smaller, all right, because they're losing electrons. They're losing a main level of energy volume-wise. All right, so this little chart right here shows the ionic charges for group numbers for the representative elements and how many it takes to form a noble gas configuration can be figured out from the charge that's on the ions. Notice all the noble gases are up here. And they're in this column to the left. They all have a zero charge. Okay, they have a zero charge. All right, but then the metals have a positive 1. Then the second group has a positive 2. Aluminum has a positive 3. And then with the nonmetals, they're negatively charged. So we have -1 charges in the halogen column. -2 for oxygen, sulfur, and selenium, -3 for nitrogen and phosphorus. And again, it takes 3 more electrons to complete the octet rule for those that are in group 5A. It takes 2 for those in 6A, and it only takes 1 for those in 7A. This chart does not show you hydrogen. Hydrogen normally forms a +1 ion. On occasion, it does form an H negative, but it's very rare. All right, so let's take a look at this first question. It says write the symbol and formula for the ion with 16 protons and 18 electrons. All right, so you need your periodic table. Look up your element that has 16 protons. All right, pause the video and check that out, and then come back and check your answer. All right, so if you looked up 16 protons, you found the sulfur symbol. All right, since it has 18 electrons, it formed those, it gained 2 electrons to complete its octet, and now we have a sulfide ion. Okay. All right, so here's another question about calcium and chlorine. All right, it says identify each as a metal or a nonmetal. Okay, so let's make a little chart over here to the right to complete this. And again, go ahead and pause the video and then come back and check your answer. All right, so I've made a little chart over here so you can see what's going on. Calcium, it's a metal. All right, it has 2 valence electrons in group 2A. So it loses those outside electrons to form a positive 2 ion, the calcium ion. Chlorine is a nonmetal. It's above the staircase. It has 7 valence electrons. It needs to gain 1 to complete its octet rule and be a noble gas configuration. And then it's a chloride ion, Cl negative. All right, so that's how ions form. And again, the periodic table gives you a lot of clues about what the charges are on the ions because of their location in the periodic table. Or that staircase divides your metals from your nonmetals. All right, so make use out of that good information. And that ends this video. All right, next video will be ionic compounds.